Happy Kids TV.
The Holy Tales.
Today's story is about a woman called Ruth.
This name sounds familiar.
Yes, it is. Ruth is a very important woman character in the Bible. It is important that you know of her story.
Yippee, Holy! Go on with the story and tell us all about Ruth.
Okay, so Ruth is a woman of great importance in the Bible. She is known for her loyalty and she had full faith in God in her heart. Ruth lived in a little village called Moab, and she was a young girl when she got married to a man named Mahlon. Mahlon and his family had moved to Moab because their village had been attacked by a major famine. As soon as Mahlon's family reached Moab, he died because of a severe illness and left behind his wife Naomi with two of their children, Mahlon and Chilion. When Mahlon grew up, he was married to Ruth, while Chilion was married to Oprah. 10 years after they got married, both Mahlon and Chilion died, leaving behind Naomi, Ruth, and Oprah all alone. With no one left alive in her life, Naomi decided to go to Bethlehem. She said to her daughters-in-law, "There's no one left in my family anymore apart from the two of you. I have decided to go to Bethlehem. Two of you can leave me and go wherever you want to go. You can go back to your own families if that makes you happy." Hearing this, Oprah decided to go back to her family. She knew if she went to Bethlehem with Naomi, her life would be even more difficult. But to Naomi's surprise, Ruth said, "Don't ever ask me to leave. Where you go, I go. Where you stay, I will stay with you. Your friends will be my friends, and your God will be my God." Naomi was happy in her heart of hearts to hear this. The journey to Bethlehem was a long and a difficult one. She couldn't have made it alone. Also, she loved Ruth for her clean and pure heart. So, Oprah left for her home, and Naomi and Ruth left together for Bethlehem to live the rest of their lives. Shortly after arriving, Ruth met a rich landowner in Bethlehem named Boaz. She started working in his field to provide for herself and Naomi. Her dedication and loyalty towards her work really impressed Boaz, and he wanted to marry her. Boaz and Ruth soon got married, and Naomi was very happy for them and blessed them with all her heart. Eventually, Naomi gave birth to a son, and they named him Obed. Obed is the grandfather of David, and thus is named as one of the ancestors of Jesus in the Gospel of Matthew and in the Gospel of Luke. So, this is the story of Ruth, who was faithful not only to God but also to Naomi when she was all alone. She was a loyal servant of God, and God blessed her for her loyal and faithful virtues. This makes Ruth one of the most remarkable women of the Bible.
Wow! That was a wonderful story, Holy. It was so sweet of Ruth not to leave Naomi alone.
Yes, that is why she is known to be the most loyal and the most faithful woman in the Bible. Now, it is time for today's question. What was the name of the rich landowner where Ruth began to work?
His name was Boaz, and I earned brownie points.
Hope you like the story of Ruth as much as these children did.
The Holy Tales.
Today I will tell you the story of Mary Magdalene.
Okay, go on with the story, Holy.
Mary Magdalene, as we all know, was one of the most loyal followers of Jesus, and that she was the very first person to witness Jesus' resurrection. Mary Magdalene was from a town called Magdala, and that is where she gets the name Magdalene. The life of Mary Magdalene is of great dispute, and most questions about her life have still remained unanswered. However, the story goes like this. Mary Magdalene was healed by Jesus, and it is then that she became his devotee and follower. She traveled to places with Jesus and his disciples to preach Jesus' teachings to the people of those places. Even when Jesus was crucified, Mary Magdalene was right next to his cross. There were other women too, but they stood and watched from a distance. They had all followed Jesus right from Galilee to look after his needs. While standing next to him during his crucifixion, she cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" She had witnessed the entire crucifixion of Jesus, his death, his burial, and his resurrection. Early on the first day of the week after Jesus' crucifixion, while it was still dark, Mary Magdalene went to the tomb where Jesus was buried. To her surprise, she saw the stone which blocked the entrance of the tomb was removed. Seeing this, she came running to one of Jesus' disciples, Simon Peter, and cried, "They have taken the Lord out of the tomb, and we don't know where they have put him." Simon Peter and Jesus' other disciples went running to the tomb with Mary Magdalene. She stood in front of the tomb and cried. As she wept, she bent over to look into the tomb when she saw two angels clothed in white and seated where Jesus' body had been, one at the side of the head and the other on the side of his feet. One of the angels asked her,
"Woman, why are you crying?"
"They have taken my Lord away, and I don't know where they have put him." Saying this, when Mary Magdalene turned around, she saw Jesus standing. Jesus called out to her,
"Mary!"
She turned towards him and cried out, "Teacher!"
"Do not hold on to me, woman, for I have not yet ascended to the Father. Instead, go to my brothers and tell them that I'm ascending to my Father, my God and your God."
It was Mary of Magdalene who brought the Lord's message to the disciples. "I have seen the Lord. The Lord said, 'Do not be afraid. Go and tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There they will see me.'"
Wow, that was such an exciting story. Yes, it was. It gave me goosebumps.
I am glad you enjoyed the story, kids. Now it's time to answer today's question.
And it's time to win brownie points. Woohoo!
My question for today is, what was the name of the town where Mary Magdalene was from?
She was from a town called Magdala.
That is absolutely correct, Gumbo. Excellent. So, that was the story for today.
The Holy Tales.
Today, I was thinking of telling you the story of Eve.
Eve? As in the Eve of Adam and Eve?
That's correct, Freckles. We have all heard about Eve, haven't we? We all know how it all began with Adam and her. So, today we're going to hear the story of Eve. Eve is the very first woman in the whole wide world. She is the very first wife and the very first mother after God created the earth. God created Eve in his own image of woman out of Adam's rib and brought her to Adam and called her his wife. God said to Adam,
"This is now bone of your bones and flesh of your flesh. She will be called woman, for she was taken out of man.
God then made a garden for Adam and Eve to live in and called it the Garden of Eden. In the Garden of Eden, there was a particular tree called the tree of knowledge. God said,
Adam and Eve, you should certainly not eat the fruits of this tree, or you shall die.
Eve was the first woman to meet Satan in the form of a serpent. Satan tempted her to eat a fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and bad. Satan said,
You will certainly not die. God knows that if you eat from this tree, you will be like God and know all about good and evil, just like He does.
Eve gave in to the temptation to become wise and powerful like God. She even gave some to Adam, who at first refused, but eventually ate it. They completely disobeyed God's command of not eating from the tree of knowledge. God was very angry with them.
What is this that you have done?
The serpent cheated me. He tempted me to eat the fruit, and I ate it. God asked Adam and Eve to leave from the Garden of Eden and toil and work for themselves. Eve was very ashamed of her actions, but she continued to be hopeful and faithful to God. Her faith and love pleased God, and He decided not to punish her by destroying her completely. He blessed her with children. Eve rejoiced. She learned all about compassion and forgiveness from God and had 2 children named Cain and Abel. And eventually, her descendants included Jesus, the Savior of the world.
That was an amazing story, Holy. I loved it to bits.
I am glad you did, Freckles. Now it's time for you to answer a question. Let's see who wins brownie points today.
Yeah, bring it on.
Well, my question is, what was the name of the tree God forbid Adam and Eve to eat from?
Oh, that's a very easy question, Holy. I know the answer. The tree was called the tree of knowledge of good and bad.
Well done, Tubby. That is the correct answer.
Yes! I win 1 brownie point.
Yes, you do. Hope you were able to win brownie points too. We'll be back soon with another story. Keep watching.
To watch more videos, please subscribe.
Plants and trees. On the 4th day, God created the sun to shine in the day, the moon and stars to come out at night. One day, Moses went to Mount Horeb with his sheep. There, God appeared to him as a flame of fire in a bush. Since there was no room anywhere else, they decided to spend the night in a stable. Here, Mary had her baby, Jesus. She wrapped him in a blanket and put him to sleep.
He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole